nepotism. Unfortunately, it is something that is coming up more and more in our society. Luckily, some jobs like sports have been free of this. Mostly. In sports, you have to earn your spot by proving yourself. Unfortunately, motorsports are not the same. There is way more to it than just racing. There are so many more other expenses to run a team, like paying for cars, parts, and travel expenses, just to name a few. With everything getting more and more expensive these days, nepotism is getting harder and harder to ignore in motorsports. You see it at local late model races, and you see it all the way up to F1, and NASCAR is no different. Arguably, NASCAR has been hurt by paid drivers the most. The biggest appeal to NASCAR was described by the late great Ken Squire, describing the sport as common men doing uncommon things. These were just a bunch of normal dudes that did some cool stuff. Naturally, the mostly blue-collar audience of NASCAR could relate to their favorite drivers because they were just like them. Fast forward to today, and I don't think most fans of NASCAR have fathers that own billion-dollar corporations. In addition, most of these drivers are also not the most suited for the task. A perfect example of this would be Cody Ware, son of Rick Ware, who drives for his dad's team, Rick Ware Racing. Just looking at the stats, when Cody Ware was in the car, RWR was last. But the one time he wasn't in the car with Justin Haley, they were much better. He quite literally is the reason to blame for holding the team back. And the worst part is that Cody's been doing this for a decade, and has probably some of the best job security in the Cup Series. Overall, this has unfortunately had the consequence of screwing over highly talented drivers trying to develop that don't have much funding, leaving their racing career constantly on thin ice, with one bad result or check bouncing sending their racing aspirations into a tailspin. However, in this modern age of pay-to-play racing, there has been one driver that has been so good and is breaking records all across NASCAR. Let me introduce you to the one hailing from Marietta, Georgia, Cory Heim. Cory David Heim, born on July 5th, 2002, from a very young age got the racing bug in his system, much to the delight of his father Ray Heim, a former late model racer himself. Cory would begin racing at 5, running go-karts, quarter midgets, and late models. However, there would be a big problem: money. As mentioned earlier, having wads of cash is basically required to go racing, but Ray, being the supportive father he was, funded almost all of his son's early racing career, mostly through selling monitors for slot machines. Luckily for Ray, his huge gamble would pay off, as Cory would be pretty good at this whole racing thing, racking up wins left and right, and this would all lead up to his ARCA debut in 2019 with Chad Bryant Racing at just 16, finishing inside the top 10 in 12 of his 13 starts that year. And Heim would impress enough to get signed by Venturini Motorsports to run 3 starts in 2020, and he would impress, finishing in the top 10 in all 3 races, the top 5 in 2 of them, and would win his first ARCA race at Kansas. And this would be enough to convince Venturini to run the full season in 2021. Cory opened the year by winning the season opener at Daytona and held the points lead through the first 10 races. This was Cory Heim's first major opportunity to win a national title in NASCAR. Throughout his career, Cory Heim raced against drivers that were labeled as nepo babies, but for the first time, he would have to duke it out against a fortunate son, or in this case, a fortunate grandson. From the moment he started racing, Ty Gibbs always had the top equipment, thanks to being the grandson of Joe Gibbs, owner of one of NASCAR's super teams, Joe Gibbs Racing. With that kind of power, Ty easily cruised to many wins. Don't get me wrong, he's a very talented driver, but having the best equipment from day one of your racing career and tons of cash was a major part of it. And in 2021, he just so happens to be driving for his grandfather's team in ARCA, being a part of a championship battle with Cory Heim. Through the first 8 races, things were pretty calm between the two drivers, until we hit race 9 at Elko Speedway. Early on, Ty Gibbs is in control of the race, but on lap 63, the 20 of Heim comes knocking on the 18's doorstep. Heim gets on the outside, trying to clear for the lead, but Gibbs bumps him going into turn 3, setting the 20 back. Cory would then try to pay the favor by giving Ty the bumper in the next turn, but it wasn't enough to move him up, and Ty maintained control of the race, until a late race caution came out, creating a restart. And for our entertainment, Heim is right behind the 18. They go into turn 1 and Heim shoves Gibbs out of the way and goes on to claim victory with Gibbs falling back to 4th. Then we fast forward to race 12 at Winchester Speedway. This time the roles reversed, with Heim being the dominant car and Gibbs fighting up through the pack. With a few laps to go, Ty catches back up to Cory after he gets held up in lap traffic, and the 18 overshoots the corner just a little bit.
Got a little bit light there from the front end of Ty Gibbs. Another wrap to the 20, and around goes Cory Heim.
This time, Ty Gibbs would take the win with Cory rebounding to 3rd. But despite a bit of door banging the next race at Watkins Glen, this would be the end of the rivalry for that year. Despite Heim's best efforts, Gibbs would take the championship by 37 points, and due to his great connections would quickly rise up the ranks and would be cup racing by 2023. But for Heim, we still have a long way to go. What also happened for Cory Heim in 2021 was his Truck Series debut for Kyle Busch Motorsports at Darlington. It didn't go too well, but then would finish 18th at Watkins Glen and barely missed out on a top 10 with 11th at Martinsville. In 2022, he would run a 16 race schedule for KBM, and in just his 5th truck start, Heim would deliver his first career Truck Series victory at his home track in Atlanta. He added a second victory at Gateway and somehow finished 14th in the final standings and earned Rookie of the Year honors despite missing 7 races. But going into 2023, Cory was in a bit of a pickle. With Kyle Busch moving to RCR, KBM moved to Chevy's, leaving a massive void for Toyota's development program, and Heim without a ride, with him being a Toyota development driver. Trying to answer those two questions was David Gilliland, who took his Ford truck team of David Gilliland Racing, creating Tricon Garage, becoming the new premier Toyota truck team. And with that, Cory Heim signed full-time with Tricon to race in their 11 truck in 2023. And Cory had his breakout season. He scored wins at Martinsville and Mid-Ohio, and clinched the regular season championship with his incredible consistency, getting 13 top 10s in the 16 races of the regular season. Did I also forget to mention that he missed a race at Gateway due to having the coronavirus? After the reset, Heim survived the first round, and in the second round he secured another victory at Bristol to advance to the Championship 4. However, there was something else brewing at this time, that being his celebration. With Cory winning a lot, he began doing his now recognizable Heim Time catchphrase and celebration. And while it was probably made because it is catchy, to me it has a much deeper meaning. I believe that it means Cory Heim is on the NASCAR radar, and it's going to be hard to slow him down. We have made it to the season finale at Phoenix for the championship race, and it was clear that Heim by far had the dominant car. But later in the race, he and a few other trucks decided to make their final pit stops, while a few others decided to stay out, burying them in traffic. But with Heim having the fastest truck, he was clawing his way through the field, and eventually, he made it back up to the back bumper of the championship leader, Carson Hocevar, biding his time and cleanly working around the 42. But Hocevar is still right on the 11's ass. Carson Hocevar is a very aggressive driver, with some even saying he's quite intimidating. But being a young gun, Carson was a very loose cannon and immature, with many cheap shots, intentional wrecking, and bringing out cautions. But after taking a very long time to win his first race, he got to winning 4 of them on the year, and also got a cup opportunity to race at Spire Motorsports and Corey LaJoie's 7-car Gateway while he was filling in for the suspended Chase Elliott. He was actually doing well in that race before he blew his brakes out. But Spire was so jazzed by Hocevar's performance that they signed him to race for them in Cup full-time starting in 2024. Eventually, Carson will mature from his truck incidents, but is still a very aggressive driver today, and one of the most popular. But tonight, Carson is still a very loose cannon, and lets Cory Heim know.
Right now.
Oh, and he spins him. Carson Hocevar gets into the back of Cory Heim and brings out the caution, the 7th one tonight. Heim is backwards on the racetrack, so is Stuart Friesen.
With about 30 to go, Heim got spun by Hocevar, effectively ending his championship hopes. Well, that sucks. Unfortunately, with the divine wisdom of the NASCAR playoffs, you get screwed out of a championship at least once. And this was brutal, being taken out by your championship rival. Maybe after the race you'll talk to Hocevar and discuss it after the race.
Oh no!
And caution is out again. Can you believe it? Carson Hocevar.
Alright, I need to take 5. Man, where was I? Oh yeah, with 3 laps remaining, Heim wrecked Hocevar into the outside wall, ending both their championship hopes. Following the race, NASCAR hit Heim with a $12,500 fine and a 25-point penalty, effectively making him finish 4th out of the final 4 contenders. But in 2024, Heim showed a lot more maturity, running it back in trucks and this time winning 6 races and again being the class of the field. But once again, he failed to win the title because he wasn't the highest of the final 4 drivers. No shenanigans this time, he just didn't have the fastest truck that night. But that would be overshadowed by some of the other events that happened that year. In 2024, Heim also became the reserve driver for both 2311 Racing and Legacy Motor Club. And at Talladega, the pieces would be put into motion.
As long as they can, but these guys
Oh, the wreck in
Trouble,
here,
turn
guys.
3. It's Bubba Wallace and Eric Jones.
Oh my goodness.
After the Toyota failed to pull off their strategy, Eric Jones unfortunately suffered a compression fracture in his lower vertebra in the crash. and Legacy Motor Club called up Cory to fill the void. All of the pressure was on him, his first Cup start, and he was driving in a Richard Petty throwback no less. He did alright though, finishing 25th, and he did a little bit better at Kansas, this time finishing 22nd and creating the backdrop for one of the craziest finishes in NASCAR history, spinning through the grass. After Jones came back, Heim got another Cup opportunity running a third car for 2311 Racing at Nashville, where he put up a solid fight, but got taken out late, finishing in 29th. Slowly but surely, Cory Heim was working his way up the ladder, and it seemed that in 2025, Heim would go full-time in a Cup. But that would not be the case, because once again, nepotism came back to rear its old ugly face. It was believed that Heim was going to drive the new 35 car for 2311 Racing, but instead that went to Riley Herbst, who has sponsorship for Monster Energy and his dad's gas station chain, and fittingly, his rookie season was just like the gas station. Terrible. Herbst arguably had the worst rookie season in NASCAR history, finishing 35th in points and not recording a single top 10 finish. But crucially, Heim was signed as a development driver for 2311 Racing, so there was hope in the future he would get a ride, and would also get to run a few starts and a fourth 2311 entry. But there was also another seat that was vacant going into 2025, that being the Joe Gibbs Racing 19 following Martin Truex Jr.'s retirement. Heim was rumored to be a favorite, but instead it went to Chase Briscoe, a non-Toyota driver, and the primary sponsor of the 19, Bass Pro Shops, stepped up and sponsored the full season for Briscoe. People didn't think much of it until a tweet came up late in 2025 talking about maybe Cory Heim could get to run for JGR one day. But inside media member Bob Pocker said, quote, "If JGR wanted Heim, they would have had him in the car this year. The ARCA battles between him and Ty apparently don't make a good fit."
Son of a bitch!
Alright, I gotta rant for a moment. If this is fully true, this is absolutely horrible. Whether it was Ty who requested this or Joe who denied it, this is an awful look no matter what. For Ty, how butthurt do you have to be to deny one of the hottest prospects a shot in one of the biggest NASCAR teams just because you got in a small tussle in ARCA almost half a decade ago? For Joe, how soft do you have to be to either give in to Ty's demands or get so worried of an inter-team conflict that you basically tell Cory to fuck off? You can't even use sponsorship as an excuse because, again, Bass Pro Shops put up a whole season's worth of sponsorship for Chase Briscoe. When it comes to nepotism, it is not any more predatory than this. So just like his 2311 boss, Cory Heim took this personally.
Cory Heim! Cory Heim!
Cory Heim.
Cory Heim! Cory Heim! Cory Heim! Cory Heim! Cory Heim! Cory Heim! Cory Heim!
Cory Heim put together the most dominant single season in modern NASCAR Truck Series history. In a 25 race season, he put up video game numbers, scoring 12 wins, 19 top 5s, 21 top 10s, and an average finish of 5th. He averaged a top 5. He broke Greg Biffle's 26-year-old single-season truck record of 9 wins set back in 1999. He won his second regular season championship and set records for the most laps led in a single season with 1,625 and the most stage wins with 23. And he became the first driver across NASCAR's top 3 national series to lead at least one lap in every single race of a full series season. He should have locked up the championship 4 races early, but because of the NASCAR playoffs, we can't have nice things. Being forced into a winner-take-all championship race, meaning this whole season could easily be wiped away. Luckily for everyone, Heim once again had by far the fastest car, racing in a completely different zip code. But with a few laps to go, it would all be taken away.
Lane Riggs continues to lead out front.
Oh, he's in the wall.
And
is that
now
going to bring out the
Connor
caution?
Mozak
Yes,
in
it
the
is.
wall and the out.
Oh, please tell me. Oh.
We will have NASCAR overtime.
After Connor Mozak crashed, most people came down pit road and Heim would come out in 10th with 2 laps to go. Everyone thought that once again, Cory would be screwed out of another win. But at this moment, something changed in Cory Heim. He had been screwed more times than he could count, whether it was on the track or off the track. He decided that if he wants to get what he wants, he needs to pull off some of the craziest shit you've never seen before.
5 wide up front. Parsons on the outside. Here comes Ty Majeski, the 98.
Look at Cory Heim. Can he
all the
clear
way
him?
up front, side by side. Majeski. Cory Heim from 10th spot. They're wrecking behind him. Will we stay green? Caution is out. 2 laps to decide the championship. K90 cut is right there. Nose to nose.
Majeski sends it in there. Heim up the track. Who gets the lead?
It has been magical. And here he comes one last time. Cory Heim wins wins the race. Cory Heim is a champion.
3 years of trying, 3 years of frustration, Cory Heim took the checkered flag to finally become a Truck Series champion. An incredible season that was properly rewarded. And it wasn't just trucks, he also did pretty well in Cup, with a 13th place at Kansas, a 39th due to a crash at Nashville, a 29th at Richmond, and getting a top 10 at Bristol with a 21st place average finish. Cory Heim is the real deal, so surely for 2026 he would have a full-time ride. Come on, of course he wouldn't. And worst of all, he doesn't even have a full-time ride for 2026. He was moved out of the 11 truck for Caden Honeycutt and is running select starts with Tricon in trucks and running a 12-race schedule for 2311 in the Cup Series with Riley Herbst still in the 35 car. Yet another win for nepotism. Cory once again became like MJ and took it personally, as while he was doing decent in Cup, he was going ham in trucks. In his 6 starts as of this video, Heim has won 3 races, 4 top 5s, and 5 top 10s. And it would have been even more if he wasn't cleaned out by Christian Eckes at Bristol. It was so impressive that up to the 5th race of the season, he had a share of the points lead, but was ineligible for the finally changed chase for the Cup because he was not attempting all the races. But finally, on May 30th, 2026, we got the news that was a long time coming.
But Cory Heim officially will be driving our 3rd car next year. I think numbers probably still TBD, or we're getting close on that.
I don't want to be the one to say it in case
he's requested a few numbers, and I'm like, no, that team's holding on to that one, and this one's holding on to that one. But
2311 Racing officially announced that Cory Heim will step up to run NASCAR full-time starting in 2027, replacing Riley Herbst, once and for all finally conquering nepotism. But before we get into 27, we gotta finish 26. And what happens next was just magical. Today was a pretty big day for NASCAR, as it was the first time they'd be racing on Naval Base Coronado. Naturally, with it being a brand new event, chaos was paramount. And with a new cast of characters up front, Cory Heim has made his way all the way up into the top 10, picking his way through the field. But with 12 laps to go, Heim came up on our old friend Carson Hocevar. This is the first time we had seen them battle in Cup, but the second they got together, it seemed like Heim Time had some unfinished business for the Hurricane.
12 laps to go. That's 40 miles. 77 around.
But then after that, it was a duel between his fellow teammate Tyler Reddick for the win. And it wasn't even close. These two put up 5 seconds on everyone fighting behind. In the closing laps, despite his inexperience, Heim was racing like a veteran, biding his time, just waiting to pounce on Reddick. And with 3 laps to go, his patience pays off.
Down to turn 2.
Oh, Reddick misses the corner right there.
That's what Heim's been waiting on.
Heim spins the rear tires on acceleration.
Heim is right there. Turn 3, up to turn 4. Look at Heim going after Tyler Reddick.
Contact, but he's going to have the acceleration and the inside line going into turn 5.
How about this? He waited, then he pounced. Crossover, here comes Reddick, inside turn 5.
Oh, he pushes him wide. Heim's in the dirty stuff, bounces off the wall.
Cory Heim, race leader from 5 to 6 with just over 2 laps to go. This is remarkable. In his 13th career start, it's Cory Heim who will win at Naval Base Coronado.
Cory Heim would win in San Diego in just his 13th start, matching Jimmy Johnson, arguably the greatest driver of NASCAR's modern era, for starts before their first win. Sure, maybe he had more preparation than everyone, as with a limited schedule you can put multiple weeks into one race. But you cannot deny that with all of the work he has been through, Heim Time had struck, and he was here to stay, folks. But we're still not done yet. After a 9th place at Chicagoland, we traveled to Indy for the Brickyard 400. Heim qualified 7th and ran in the top 10 for most of the day. But problems arose during green flag pit stops when Heim was holding up the much faster Carson Hocevar for a few laps. Naturally, this made Carson frustrated, combining that he was basically aero blocking and also thinking about San Diego, so he made sure to let him know his emotions.
Team do as we wrap the stage and here. Oh, wow!
Yes! The Hurricane always delivers a story.
Yeah, with the bird out the window.
Oh, man! Outstanding.
But personally, I think Hocevar just wanted to let him know who was number one that day.
Cory Heim gonna win the Brickyard 400.
After an amazing pit call from crew chief Booty Barker to get up front, once again, Cory Heim shocked the world by winning at Indy, this time a crown jewel race. And once again, Cory Heim was breaking records, this time becoming the fastest NASCAR driver in the modern era to get to 2 victories in just 15 starts. If it wasn't clear now, Cory Heim, after beating the odds countless times, had officially established himself as one of NASCAR's rising superstars.